What is going on, people? Welcome back to the live match reaction. Palace 0, Fulham 0. Before we get started, is everyone awake? That's how I felt walking out of that game. Honestly, it was a very, very boring game, in my opinion. But look, I'll be honest. I was first, when I was walking out of the game, I was thinking, what are we going to talk about today? But then again, there's a lot of narratives to talk about. Eze, is he playing in the right position? Is it a case of us not finding a replacement for Zaha? Is that why he's playing out wide? And how was his performance today? Raksaki coming on in the 90th minute. What is he actually staying at Palace for? What was the intention? Is he there just to add up numbers? Or are we going to see a bit more of him? Sam Johnson, fantastic. There's a lot of things to talk about in a 0-0 game after you actually had a deep thought about it. But look, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. And also, the lines are open now where you can call into the show and have your say. I'm genuinely interested to see what people thought went right today. I don't think a lot did. And what went wrong? Why did you not create as many chances as previous weeks? Look, in the first half, there was not much to talk about. Literally, I think we only had one shot on target, even in possession. Come second half, I mean, there was a few calls with whether that should have been a penalty on Eze. I'll be honest, I thought I was right in front of it. I thought the Fulham player grabbed Eze. Maybe he wasn't involved in the play necessarily, so they didn't want to give him the penalty. But look, there isn't much. Mateta came on. Not much change there. Edouard looked knackered. And yeah, that's basically it. I mean, when you're looking at Palace's bench right now, we're looking at one or two players at most coming on. And I've just seen quotes from Roy saying that he can't even attack the Carabao Cup game because he's worried about injuries. The squad is thin and is up front in the attacking position that we're talking about. And he raises even more questions about, what's happening with our goalkeeper situation in terms of spending £20 million on Dean Henderson. But look, there's a lot to talk about in that aspect. At first, I'll be honest, I was half asleep walking out the ground. I haven't felt like that in a long time. But there's also a few things to question. But look, there's already people joining, so make sure to leave a like and subscribe. I'll go through your comments as well throughout the show. Click on the pinned comment to join us live. Let's start off with the first guest of the afternoon. Alex,
Hey.
Palace 0. Good to see. Are you surprised about that game? Was you thinking a bit more? I'll be honest, it was very well in my perspective.
Yeah, I don't like to be the person that just keeps repeating myself. It's not like me. I always like to look at like different things in the game, and there's plenty to talk about, but I'm just gonna say it. These first halves are killing me, man. There's nothing to see that is enjoyable outside of like last-ditch defending, and it's really annoying, So
Why do you
let's
think
start
it
with.
is?
So today, I don't know if they said it on the telecast, but I'm 100% sure that they were man-marking Palhinha with Jeffrey Schlupp. And that changed a lot. So that meant that Schlupp was like always in the middle, always staying on Palhinha, and everyone else kind of had to adjust. So while I thought Schlupp was good, it also meant that we were just so... I don't even know what our attack was in the first half outside of the occasional turn by Jeffrey freaking Schlupp. Like, that's not an offense, That can't work.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it was
Like
weird.
the second half, I don't know.
Second half, there was a few subs. Still, it was not enough. It was not enough for me.
Enough.
Alex, do you think we're seeing the over-reliance of Eze before? Someone tweeted it to me saying, literally before, it used to be possible to Zaha and let him create something. And now it seems like possible to Eze. Let him create an option. Is it just injuries killing us? It was Eze playing in the right position today. Sometimes he was going a bit out wide. Of course, I mean, there's lots of question marks about Eze as well. Not just in today's performance. Are we using him in the right position? What do you think about it?
Well, first off, another thing that I think the Jeffrey Schlupp playing in the midfield and stuff like that, we were just absolutely blitzed in the midfield today. It's the worst I've seen us since last year. Hughes was okay in defense, but he almost cost us the game with his mistake. And I thought Decore was extremely wasteful with the passing, and it looked like Reed and Pereira were just like playing with us. You know, it was really
Yeah.
frustrating.
I was worried
What
though going
was
into the
your
game. I
question,
thought.
D?
Just with Eze, what did you think about his performance? Are we relying too much on him? Is there too much
Yes,
like give the ball to Eze, let him do something? I do think that will change when Elise comes back. So is it a case of just
definitely.
waiting until more players come into the Palace side? Because right now, I'll be honest, it's just you're asking an awful lot from him. And we saw it last season. Him and Elise's connection was fantastic. But in the short term, what can you do though, Alex, to stop this
So
attack?
I thought he wasn't far off on a few of the plays, like especially when JP came on. Some of his through balls were really good. JP just timed it a little too fast, and he looked a lot better the last 30 minutes, I thought. So you really need to have something else there, because if he's just playing hero ball, he will make a lot of people miss, but he will rarely score that goal like he did against Sevilla. Like that goal is an outlier for him. Most of his goals are set up by good like play. It's not hero ball. And I don't know. A few other things I noticed was
Yeah.
Joa was playing right back the last 20 minutes. If you watch the tape, he was playing right back. I don't know what that means. I
Then where
don't
was
know
Ward
if we're
playing?
just
I think he was
out of
just
ideas.
shifting more towards the right. I think he's trying to find an open space. I don't know if he was playing right back, but he was more
Okay.
towards the right hand side because Joe Wood was still on the pitch. But yeah, look. I mean, we're talking about a defender playing right back in the last 20 minutes because there was literally nothing going forward. There was nothing, and that is a big question mark. What do you think about Jez coming on in the 90th minute? I have an issue with it. Not
It's
that
actually
he came on
pissing
in
me
90
off,
minutes.
honestly,
Yeah.
because it's it's basically like a slap in the face. It's like, here you go, here's 5 minutes, do something with it. It's like, how can you even be an impact sub in 5 minutes? And so that's why I'm pissed off. I think I don't know why Roy is waiting till the 90th minute. I know that that's what he used to do, but times have changed with subs and stuff, so I don't understand why we're waiting so long on this. He will get better if he plays. I am sure of it. But he's not playing. I don't know if he'll
Yeah.
play in the cup game. That really pissed me off too. I'm not
Well,
usually a pissed off person. I
yeah,
usually
exactly. You're normally the positive one, and if you're getting pissed off, then
Yeah.
there's clearly something wrong. There's clearly,
Yeah.
you're always normally calm. You're normally always calm with your approach.
Thanks.
But look, leaving the ground, and you will probably, waiting to hear the final whistle. It was a relief because I genuinely didn't think we would score. You could see it. First half is always an issue. We never start great, and the second half, once again. I mean, our reliance on Mateta coming on to change things, it just didn't work out. Just quickly on that, do you think, looking ahead to the Carabao Cup game, would you like to see like a fully rotated squad? Because Hodgson indicated that he can't go all out against Man United because of injuries.
Yeah, I mean, he's gonna have to out of necessity. So some people that I think he might bring in there, I think, are the ones that have played for us in the past. And sorry that my dog's out barking.
No,
So, guys, quiet. Hey. I think that's my time. Thanks.
All right, then, Alex. I'll catch you later. We'll never find out. All right, then. See you later. That was Alex having his say. Call into the show as well to have your say, and maybe invite your dog as well. Maybe your dog might be, having a few opinions on Palace as well. The link is pinned in the comment section down below. Let's bring on the next guest of the evening. By the way, if you're enjoying the show, if you can hit the like button and subscribe, it helps us out massively and takes a second of your time. That'll be much appreciated. Keep sending your comments as well. Let's bring on Henry. Palace 0, Fulham 0. Good to see you awake. Another one. Because I was struggling.
Just about, mate. Just about.
What was it today then?
Was the most entertaining part of the afternoon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. About the game. Yeah, exactly. And they weren't even at the ground. They're all the way in America. But what did you make of it then, Henry?
I thought it was a terrible, terrible game. Very cagey. It looked like neither team really wanted to gamble and try and win the match. Really, it just seemed like almost like a nothing game. I thought we were terrible. We were really, really poor because there was no fluency to our play. There was no pace in our play, no urgency. There was a lack of creativity, and most of the creativity went through Ebbs, and there was too much onus on him to do everything and make things happen. And I do think it's asking too much of him. And I think it did show today that we need some more threat in midfield, because it's just not good enough. I mean, I can't even remember many chances off the top of my head. I think Mateta had one in the second half. I think we had a couple of penalty shouts, maybe. It was just crap. Like, I just don't know what else to say. Really, it was just. I just don't understand why we didn't go for it more. Because when you look at our fixtures, we've got a double header against Manchester United. We've got Nottingham Forest, but that will be tough. And then we got Everton. But it's just. So when you look at it like that, it's like, get the 3 points today. Show some fight to get the 3 points, because those games look really, really tricky. So I'm angry, to be honest. I am angry that we didn't, just go for it more.
Yeah, why do you think we didn't? Was it a case of like pick the point? Do you think we was playing for a draw?
I think we were playing for a draw probably in the last 10, 15 minutes, yeah. I think it was like, if we get a chance, let's try and win it, but otherwise let's take the point. That's sort of the vibe I was sort of feeling. Yeah. It was a different experience for me today, because I was actually sitting in the White Horse Lane end, and I was right behind Mitchell pretty much the whole game. And I thought he was really good, actually. Like, he pretty much tracked his man the whole match, putting some good tackles defensively. He almost got an injury, which was scary, because I was just like, oh, great, our only left back's going to get injured. Brilliant. But it's like, he did good, but we're too one-dimensional. If we're not solid at the back and Ebbs doesn't create anything, then we're a very predictable side. I'm sorry, it's just not good enough. And you can see the options on the bench for Roy. There wasn't many that you can think of to bring on and change the game. I mean, there was only Mateta. There was Jez, but he just threw him on with a minute or two left or something like that. I mean, what's he going to do in that time?
Yeah, I agree. I think we could have took a bit more risks in terms of our approach to the game. Like, especially with the subs, when you see Jez coming on for like 2 to 3 minutes, what do you really expect him to do in 2 to 3 minutes? Yeah. And I think the reason why I did come on, Gabriel, I need to double check it, but there's talks about Edouard doing his hamstring, and that could be a potential injury. So it could have been an injury sub, which ain't great right now because we're lacking attackers as it is. Then these injuries are racking up. So if that's true, then we're in even more trouble. But Ty makes a comment here saying Fulham were able to bring on a brand new front three. Our squad is so thin.
Yeah,
is it a case of our summer transfer worries coming to these games now where we can see the squad being thin, where we needed more attackers and we didn't get it?
It's coming into play because you can see the lack of options on the bench. We are literally 1 or 2 injuries away from a crisis. We cannot keep going like this. The club is not in a healthy position. We have lots of important players out of contract in the summer. And it's just, we can't just keep relying on Eze and, Edouard and Ayew. And what I'm talking about is we need options on the bench that can actually come on and affect the match. Because no team in the Premier League can just rely on a starting 11. It's a squad game. It's not just about the 11 on the pitch. And that is a real worry. And that's I'm afraid that Parish is responsible for that, because he did not try harder to get more players in that it could have been useful to us. But no, it's just. I mean, it's not so much that I'm disappointed with the result. I'm just disappointed that we just didn't throw more caution to the wind. Just attack, just shoot, just cross it, just try. There was no urgency. So I mean, it's not they didn't try it. It means they did try, but they didn't give it their all, and that they didn't give 100%. Is what I mean. It's just.
Yeah.
I'm just very disappointed. It's not.
Let's hope we bounce back on Tuesday. I think that's going to be interesting if Edouard's out injured as well, because I mean the squad is getting thinner by the day. Seems like. Well, according to reports, Edouard he might have done his hamstring. So if that is true, then I mean our highest goal scorer this season, he might be out injured. So walking out of that game, I mean, yes, we picked up a point, but if Edouard is gone as well, then we need to have Mateta, and this is what it's coming down to. We just have to survive.
If he gets injured, then what are we gonna?
We have no one.
Should we? Me and you should volunteer to play.
Exactly. Sign like a 5-day contract. You just go up front. Just pick a random fan from the stands to get selected to go up front for Palace. Because there's going to be
Roy might have to get his boots on soon if we're not careful.
Yeah, exactly. Someone needs to be up front. But look, Henry, appreciate your time, bro. Always a pleasure talking to you. Hopefully, we'll catch up with you on Tuesday after the game.
All right, cheers.
All right, then take care. If you want to call in, make sure to click on the pinned comment and hit the like button as well, people. Let's bring on Chris next. Chris, 0-0. How you doing? Look, there's been a few good points made about the game as well. There's a lot of different talking points. The subs, our intent in the game, the individuals. But what did you think went wrong today? Because I just don't think we've done enough in attack. But then again, midfield, who's had a solid performance defensively. We kept the clean sheet as well. How do you assess the game?
Yeah, I think others have just covered it. Really, there's not much to talk about in the game. I had a fear that they might do an away number on us when they broke through and it's 3-on-2 and had 1 or 2 other half chances. Don't know how Jimenez messed that up, got it all wrong, but they did a good solid away number on us with 6 at the back, and it felt, dare I say it, like a Vieira game that if they scored first, we're not going to score. So we've kind of regressed a bit. I don't know if Lerma completely changed that game. At least they might do. Who knows about França? But even when the players do come back, like, you can't expect miracles. And when you see Mitchell going down holding, like, I don't know, his hamstring, and Gahey falling over, and every time something happens to one of our players, you just feel the worst, because there's not a lot we can do with them, apart from maybe the centre backs. But they're not at the same level as Gahey and Anderson. So again, what do you do? I don't know what happens. I know that all the under 21s and the 18s have played, I think yesterday, or was it this morning, I think. So we have to use someone against Old Trafford, or we're just gonna, if we put that same team out twice again after travelling to Manchester, we're just gonna get embarrassed in both games. They all look so knackered.
Yeah, and the squad is thin. Sorry, Chris, continue.
No, just saying, rival team around us, like for them, they've got, as someone pointed out, they've brought a whole new attacking lineup. They've got better options than us. We've just been overtaken by that. Some team like Fulham.
Yeah, and it's not only Fulham. We saw it against Villa as well, where they brought on players off the bench. Those players made a massive difference. I mean, Thuram, he scored a goal, fantastic goal, and they changed the game and we've seen that now 2 games in a row. Our squad is thin, and Dan makes a comment saying, "Look, Evan Ferguson scoring hat-trick for Brighton, but why not give it a promising youngster a chance?" Do you think it's the case now? We have to give some of these players a bit more chances to see what they do, because the squad is thin as it is, and as you said, they will get knackered. You don't want to gas them out this early in the season as well by continuing to play them when they're struggling as it is.
Yeah, no, that comment's right. I think he's not quite to Ferguson's standards, but Marsh does look like kind of could be a potential Kane. He's not got the same frame as Ferguson. He's not quite to the same levels, but why not? Especially if Edouard's injured, and give him, at least nothing else, give him experience of being at Old Trafford in front of a pretty decent crowd. I know there's a strike on, like, train strike and that, but I think he's just got to try something different. We've got to see what they're all about. What's the point of having this academy? And again, give Rakzaki a game simply because Edouard got injured. Like, the only times we look promising in that game, there's a spell around 30 minutes in the first half where we were lumping it up top and trying to mop up, like pick up the seconds. So almost expecting to giving it to someone like Ream or Diop and then getting straight onto the rebound, and people like Schlapping at picking up and driving. That was about the only time we looked like a threat. And if you had pace up front against Diop and Ream at the end there, we might have got something account. So you never know. Maybe I'm clutching at straws.
And that's two games. That's two games in a row where you look at Edward. He looked knackered. Like against Villa, he scored a goal, fantastic. But towards the end of the game, he's been looking knackered. And now it seems like he's picked up an injury, which is worrying because we are thin as it is. And he was, scoring goals, contributing, well to the overall team. I was very impressed with the start to the season. But we'll see how long he's out for if that is true, which I think Roy said it after the game. So, Chris, look, today, he started. I thought he was great. Johnson was great. There were positives as well. What would you take from today's game into the Manchester game to, give you that confidence boost? Because right now it feels a bit negative up top, but I guess defensively we're still solid.
Yeah, there's that, I suppose. But they're going to be knackered if you play him again. I don't know if he's going to change anything. No injuries. Another point, a clean sheet. But that's the type of game you got to win. It's looking at the period coming up. That was a real. Got to get the 3 points then. As I've said, Eze can't do it all alone every week. He's not quite got that Zaha mentality that Wilf had. But could be another long season. And on the plus side, I could keep betting on 0-0, making money off it. There's something.
Yeah, even like if he was going to win this game, it's going to be a 1-0 game to either side. I just didn't see many goals coming into it. But I'll be honest, I'm disappointed that we didn't win. We didn't create that many chances, but going into the game, I expected us to try and beat Fulham because, I don't think they're as strong as they were last year. But then again, the midfield, was solid today. And I think that was one of the most important elements to the game. But look, Chris, thank you for coming on. Hopefully we have a win. We beat Man United on Tuesday because that's a massive game in terms of, energizing the fans, looking forward to something as well. Because, so far in the league, it's not bad. But then again, if you beat Man United, I think everyone will be optimistic all of a sudden. So, we'll see what happens.
Nice one,
but look, Chris, thank you for coming on. Take care. Let's bring on Tim next. Tim.
What's going on, man?
0-0. How did you see it? Because as I said, for everyone that's been watching, I wasn't excited. I was genuinely bored coming out of the ground. I guess we kept the clean sheet. That's a positive. Defensively, to be fair, they did create a few chances that if they did do better in the final third, then they could have, got a goal or two. But overall, Palace so slow today.
Let's pick up on that point. That the pace of attack was very slow, and that was tough to watch. And I can't yet work out if that's because of lack of options, because we're not Man City. We're not going to surgically pick out space and try to, go slow until we can go fast because you've created a space for us and we can slot somebody in with a great run. That's just not. We don't have the personnel for that. So the slowness of the attack was pretty frustrating. But overall, I mean, it's tough to respect this point, but I'm going to respect the point, right? Like, I'll take it. I did think that Fulham set up well. And I will say this is unusual because I think since Roy has been back, I would say he has either been largely on par with or coaching better than the manager in the other dugout. I'm not so sure that was true today with Marco Silva. I think Marco Silva set up Fulham very, very well, and I don't think we worked out a lot of answers on the pitch. And I am very happy with Roy, but I think today Roy was a little bit off. The players were off too, but I don't think Roy got this one right.
So what could he have done differently? Then?
Well,
what do you think it was?
For me, this was not the lineup that was going to generate. But I would have played Ayew on the left, and I would have started Rock-Saki. I think you have to have people that are going to come into the final third and create space so that Ebbs can run in. I think you have to have that. And if you don't have that, like I can't remember during the game, D, maybe there were. I can't remember triangles that we were playing on the left side. I can't remember Mitchell getting up front and then playing off Ebbs and somebody else making a run in on the left side so that Ebbs can make a run right at goal. Like I don't remember seeing that. And so I think you have to have players who can come in, get the ball, create space, and Ebbs can run off of it. I think I've worked out something. I want to run by you and folks here in the chat. I think I've finally worked out why Vieira wasn't favoring Ebbs as much as we all thought he should have. And I think it's because Vieira is a little bit like us. Like, I think he was getting real angry with how wasteful Ebbs can be, because that's the player he is. Like, he goes forward and he will take his dribbles, and if he has a bad game like he had today, he loses the ball a lot, and that can be very frustrating. And to Fulham's credit, they surrounded him. They absolutely surrounded him most of the time.
Yeah.
And so I think Vieira was getting absolutely frustrated with that. And what Roy did that's very different, it said, you be you. I will take your mistakes and I will back you, because I know when you're on it, you're an absolute game breaker. And I think that did make a huge difference for Ebbs. I think Vieira was absolutely fuming with how wasteful Ebbs could be, and tried to get him and tried to make him a different player, who wasn't so wasteful. And you know what? I can't say that is necessarily a bad idea. I don't want Ebbs to be this wasteful. So I hope that he probably needs to learn to play a little bit differently. Like, when he gets the ball, his first instinct is to see who he can drive at and work himself out of a tight situation. I think maybe if he adjusts that, he gets the ball and he looks for a short pass to play and runs into space. If he does that, I think he's probably at least 10 to 15% more dangerous than he is right now. But I mean, I don't think this was a terrible game for us, but I do think it was I think what Henry said, which it does resonate with me. I think Alex said it too, is very disappointing. Like, it's not that I thought we were terrible, but this is one, like, last week, I liked the performance, hated the result, and I felt a little bit hard done by. And then this time I thought, nah, I'll take the result, but I'm pretty disappointed with the performance.
Yeah, it was a draw written all over it. Like, the way the game was going on, I did not expect. Well, maybe Fulham could have scored a goal, but I just didn't really see us scoring a goal. We just looked off it today. And Dan has a quote from Roy after the game. He said the following. This is Roy's comments. I can't attack the Carabao Cup as I intended to do because I don't have any players. I'm worried about Eddie's hamstring. When I find out player is out for 3 weeks, I'm relieved it's not 3 months. Worrying words from, that is. Worrying word from Roy. What do you think it's down to then, Tim? Do you think it's down to the injuries that we have right now? Of course, we're missing a few players, or is it a result of lack of attacking, bringing a lack of attacking players in the summer window, which a lot of people wanted?
Well, I think it has to be both, doesn't it? I mean, we don't have meaningful squad depth right now. But if we didn't have these injuries, would we be as fearful? Like, if we are 6 games in and we've seen France a couple of times, if we had Elise on the pitch right now, would we be as worried? I think the answer is no. Having said that, I do think, I think it was very clear to everybody that we needed some more attacking depth. And I think Alex was right that Schlupp was better, but I think we all know that Schlupp is, except in very rare circumstances, he's not the guy that's putting the ball on net. And right now, the agent of chaos, the guy who we give the ball to and who holds things up and Mateta caused a lot of problems for Fulham when he came on. And I have to admit, I've been wrong about that guy. He is much more motivated. He's coming in and he's using his body. He's doing the things he knows how to do. the shot he snaps off is not great, but it's also not a terrible shot. He snaps it off on the wrong side on his bad foot, and he tries to get it on net, which is what we want. So, I mean, I think it's a little bit of both. I'll be very, very curious to see who is in attack on Tuesday. I agree with Dan that you've got to, at this point, like, what choice do you have? Whether it's Zach March, Franco Ume, Ola Adebayo, who is it? Do we need to get players on? Malcolm, BOA, we need Jess. I mean, I think we need to set up with probably some players we don't see and then see what happens. I hate to call it a free hit because that sucks. I want us to go further in the League Cup, but the injuries sort of dictate what we do here. And so let's unleash them. I mean, maybe Ten Hag unleashes the Manchester United youth for this one too. And you know what? We beat those guys. Our youth team beat those guys. So if that's what it's going to be, let's throw them out there and see what they can do. So two other quick things. I mean, we have to give before this stream ends, D. We've got to give Sam Johnston his credit because boy, oh boy, was he good today. He was outstanding today. There were some
great saves.
Some great saves. His distribution was decent. I think he could have been better in some instances, but man, he was outstanding. And you know what? You know how much I love Chris Richards, and I think he's great, but you could see I'm not an idiot. You can see when Mark Gay came in today, he was outstanding. He was progressive. He was making interventions. I think he was getting kind of pissed off and moving us up the pitch and trying to get us to cycle in, get us in the attack and getting things started. He's a great player. Mark Gay is a fantastic player. So, there were some positives.
Yeah, just quickly, Tim, before you go, do you start Henderson on Tuesday? Against his former club? Does he make his debut?
Yes, I'll tell you why. Not because it's anything against Johnston, but if we manage to find some way to get this to penalties, I want the guy who was, practicing penalty takes against his old club. I'll take that guy. So, not that's not a great reason, but I also think he'll be very motivated to go to Old Trafford and take something from his old club. So probably, I probably start Henderson.
Yeah, I think the Tuesday game, I don't know how, but we need to figure out a way to beat them because, I mean, I'd rather beat them in the Carabao Cup and, lose the league game because we won a good cup run for Palace this season. If we lose against Man United in a league, I don't think that's going to end our season. I don't think we're going to get relegated because of that game. But if we win that Carabao Cup game, it will give the whole fan base a bit of a push and, it makes you look even more towards Elise and France and these players coming back because they might be involved at a cup game in the future. So we'll see what happens. Well, look, Tim, really appreciate your time. Thank you for coming on.
You're the best, man. Take care, D.
Take care. Take care, Tim. If you want to join us, make sure to click on the pinned comment as well. We'll be reading your comments throughout the show. Let us know what you thought about the game as well, and hit the like button and subscribe, people, as well. Let's bring on Looney, our next guest. How you doing, bro? Palace 0, Fulham 0. What did you make of it?
Yeah, do you know what? I don't think it was as bad as everyone says, in my honest opinion. I just feel like it wasn't a very open game, so it made us look bad. But actually, it was just so evenly matched. So I don't know if you've looked at stats. Do you want me to read out a couple of the stats as well?
Yeah, go ahead.
So basically, we've got 50-50 ball possession. We had 7 shots in total. They had 10. 2 shots blocked for us, 2 shots blocked for them. 3 corners for us, 2 for them. Total passes for us, 466. 452 for them. Accurate passes, 378 for us, 374 for them. So accurate long balls, 30 for us, 31 for them. Accurate crosses, 2 for us, 2 for them. So, I mean, listen, I don't think we did bad at all. I think it was we found our match. Because, you know, when you find your match, sometimes it influences how the game is gonna go. It's not such an open game, so it does tend to be boring, and the draw is highly likely. When you play a team like that's not your match, that's a lot better than you, you're either gonna lose or you get lucky on the counter and you catch them out, and you can win that way as well. So I just think that it was very evenly matched, but we did all right, man, considering.
You say even a match. Are you happy with it being even a match at home? Did you not think that we should have went for a bit more?
I don't know what more we could have done to go for it. I mean, when you say go for it, what more? I saw the players going for it. I've got to be honest. And I just saw Fulham well up for it. So it's like it was a huge midfield battle, plenty of interceptions, cutting out passes. Will Hughes and Reed was proper going for it. Schlupp and Palhinha was proper going for it. So for me, it's really evenly matched, man. I felt like we just kept cancelling each other out. Do you know what I'm saying? So for us, of course, it was like a frustrating game to watch, definitely. But look, we got a point. I would have been so pissed if we lost.
Yeah, 100%. Who can't lose?
I'm glad we're not.
Has to be a point.
Yeah, we got a point. And listen, with regards to the Carabao Cup, whatever happens, isn't it? Really, we just got to feel the second team. Let all our B players get a good run out. Let them warm up. Let them get on the field, because it's good for them as well. We need to get our B players ready to go. So
Dan has a question, and I want you to answer, because it's interesting to hear what you say. He says, shouldn't we be way better than Fulham after a decade straight in the Premier League? Maybe not in terms of like players wise. Maybe you can make that argument, but maybe like our squad depth today compared to Fulham's, they seemed like they had more of a squad. Like Iwobi's coming off the bench. They had Carlos Vinicius, who's also coming off the bench. So they had a few more players than us. What do you make of this question? Do you think that should be the case?
Yeah. I think that I would be lying to you if I said I don't agree with this point. I do definitely agree. And I think everyone agrees, even Roy Hodgson. Roy Hodgson gets a lot of stick, but he's on the same page as us. He says it game after game. I need the players. The guy is saying, I need the players. And I think, he's an old dog. He's been around. And I just think that he knows what to expect with Palace and ownership. He does say it, but I think he knows that it will fall on deaf ears. And we all agree to Dan's comment. Yes, we should be a well-seasoned Premier League team by now. And finishing in the top 10 every season. Even if we don't, get top 5, whatever, it doesn't matter. We should be somewhere in the top 10 every season. That's what I think with more squad depth. Absolutely, yeah. He's right. By now, there's no excuse no more. Come on. So
yeah, which after 10 years, like you expect a bit more coming off the bench. I mean, look at today's options off the benches. Mateta was going to 100% come on because we know that's been a trend and it has worked out in the past. But for example, the Rak-Saki sub, what did you make of it? Do you understand why Roy brought him on in the 90th minute? He came on clearly because Edouard was out injured. Apparently, Edouard signaled to the bench that he wants to come off because of his hamstring injury. So what do you make of the Rak-Saki situation right now and a few other players that's not really getting that many opportunities?
I think he's good for Rak-Saki. I think he's ready from what I keep seeing. Although we do see small glimpses, he can be misleading. But
is it enough though?
I
we can't really judge a player based on 2-3 minutes of that game. Yeah. I get it; it was an even game, but shouldn't we have made a sub earlier on to try change it, to try, go for it a bit more, to try to change the balance? I guess there's a risk element to it because it could go the other way, but at home, don't you think we should be taking them risks?
I'm not so sure if home or away makes that much difference. I've got to be honest with you. When you're playing a team that is so evenly matched, I just can't see the venue making too much of a difference. It can help you, but Fulham are no fools, and they set up very well today as well. And Raksaki should have come on a bit earlier. However, like you said, I think Roy's thinking was, this is a very, very even game, very physical game. I'm not sure that Raksaki is an ideal player for such a physical game, because as skillful as he is and creative, he is quite light on the ball. Let's be honest. He's not that strong on the ball, is he? So you could easily see him just getting knocked off that ball, losing possession too many times. So I think it was wise to wait in this instance only, in this match only, because it was very physical.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people talking about Raksaki and whether he should start next game. So against in the Carabao Cup, the squad is thin. If Edouard's out injured, is there a few players that you want to see have a bit more opportunities that haven't really got it so far, or would you like to go as strong as possible? I think Roy said that he's not intending to go as strong as possible because of the injuries.
Yeah, personally, I would do exactly what Roy is saying. Sack it. Forget the Carabao Cup. I know that, we all want it, and we all, I'm on the same, like what you were saying earlier, I want us to do well, but are we going to be truthful with ourselves? We don't have the squad. So we've got to let that one go, man. And I think the main thing is the league. I would field Klein. I would field Holding, Richards. I'll put Adaramola on the left back. I would just play loads of the B team, man. Straight up. I would not risk our first team players. The only criticism I do have, with Roy, what I would have done different is the whole Schlupp thing for me. I understand he looked good running at defenders as a number 10. Yeah, at times.
Not bad.
Yeah, he did. All credit due to him. However, is it worth doing that to put Eze out wide on the left? No, I don't think it balances in terms of worth it or not. Do you see what I'm saying? I would rather keep Eze central. You need Eze central. He links up with Edouard better as well. Edouard couldn't get in the game today at all because of it. So
yeah, it's a very good point. So do you think going forward, I mean, not of course the Carabao Cup game because we're expecting rotations, but in the league game against Man United, we just have to make sacrifices, and that might be dropping Schlupp regardless of, because he's coming off. It's always him that gets subbed off as well, apart from the Villa game. But it's clearly there's a trend there. As good as a game he had today, it was better than before. It's not like he had an amazing game. It was just better. It was just better than what we see so far this season. So going forward, do you think he'll make them changes? And do you think Eze will start through the middle and we'll go with a Raksaki or another option coming off the bench out wide?
I don't think he will, because I remember before Roy left, when he was playing Ebbs, he was playing him from the left again. I don't know if you remember that. It was during the COVID time, the pandemic.
Yeah.
He was doing the same thing. I don't know why. I think he likes to start with him out wide on the left and then sort of bring him in the middle, maybe later if he makes a change of some kind. Which leaves us, I don't get that, because it leaves us for sort of 60 minutes of the match ineffective creatively. And then it's no point changing it after 60 minutes because now you got less time to be creative. So for me, it doesn't make sense. But what can I say? He does what he wants to do. He's the manager, innit? So
yeah, and we've had a decent start to the season so far. Look, today, as you said, it was an evenly matched game, but it was a game that I was really looking at. We should be trying to beat them at home if we want to, do something special. But we're still there and abouts. We have to look at other results. So if the other results go in our favor, but I just want us to be in that top 10 to 7 discussion come towards the end of the season. I don't want us to fade away like we did last season, where it was literally fighting for 11th, 12th, 11th, 12th. 11th. It's boring. It's boring that you want to see a bit more ambition. But so far, it's not bad. We picked up a point. Forest lost as well. I think Wolves and Luton, they drew. So that doesn't really concern us. But we'll see with tomorrow's results. I think Brentford and Newcastle are playing right now as not Brentford and Newcastle, Brentford and Everton is 1-1 in that game, surprisingly. So Brentford are not being Everton. So, as long as we're there and abouts and the results go for us, then we should be fine. But then again, I want us to pick up the results. I don't want to look at other teams and say, oh, look, that we're eighth now because not Forest played City and they lost. I want us to, get the points. But it is what it is. Today, we picked up the point and we move on. I think the Carabao Cup game is, as you said, it hurts, but I still want us to somehow go for it. I don't know how, maybe rotation. As you mentioned, Richards, Holding, these are, professionals and they're good players as well. So we still got a few decent players in rotation. It's just an attack. It's an attack that we'll see what happens. But look, really appreciate your time today, bro. Hopefully we'll catch up with you again soon.
Take care,
Take care.
Yeah.
If you want to call in and have your say, make sure to click on the pinned comment to discuss the Fulham game and more. I'll be going through some of the comments now as well. Raksaki has to start over Ayew or Schlupp. I think Preston Raksaki has to start over Schlupp. I think Ayew, you just can't drop him to the bench. I think it has to be Schlupp. Ayew's had a decent start to the season. Actually, not decent, more than decent. A very good start to the season with assists. He's had a production. I think Schlupp is the anomaly in this Palace side. And yeah, you have to start him. And maybe it's the game against United. If we're talking about rotations, then it has to happen sooner rather than later. But then again, what happens up front? It's going to be Mateta. And if Mateta gets injured or if Mateta's tired, who on earth plays up front for Palace? Will Roy trust his academy players? Because Steve Parish said one thing. Steve Parish said that, we're going to be opening a pathway for the younger players. But then when the younger players are getting 2-3 minutes coming off the bench, what type of pathway is that? I mean, you take one step in, the path is already finished. It's not really a proper pathway, is it? So we'll see in a United game if Roy does trust some of these youngsters a bit more. And maybe they might not be good enough right now, but we're reaching that level where we just have to still try them because it's not good enough as it is in terms of options. We just don't have enough options. So maybe some of these attackers that are doing well for the youth level, they might have to have a bit of a role against United, and I'm not all against it. Unfortunately, like we should be giving them the opportunities, and hopefully they do perform, and maybe we see 1 or 2 gems like this. Would love to see Raksaki, Boué, Klein, Ozo, Teo, Marsh, Ume, Richards, and Holding. Now, I feel like realistically with Roy, I think that's too many changes. But Tim, you may have a point because if it ain't those players, how many is coming off the bench? There isn't that many other options. So yeah. Look, Red saying they will look possible. Yeah. Look, in an ideal scenario, I don't think Roy would play them players. But then again, you might not have the option. You might just have to go for it and play that many youth players. And hopefully, the positive will be that these players have something to prove. They should be fresh. Holding, he's a professional that was playing for Arsenal has played for Arsenal for many years. So I think he could do a role. I think Richard can do a role. Ozo will be interesting. Boué will be interesting. And it might be a very good time for them to show themselves as well. Show themselves as Roy to say that, you know what? Select me against United. I will perform. And from there onwards, they might get more opportunities. We saw against Plymouth. Roy did give opportunities against Plymouth in our previous cup game. But some of these players did let us down. And we had to bring on Mateta. Not Mateta. We had to bring on, I know Eze came on, Ayew came on. We had to bring on these type of players. I think Mateta did come on as well to change the game. And it did work. But these players now have to prove themselves, which is going to be a very difficult game. You're talking about going to Old Trafford, and they're struggling side as well. They need results. We'll see what happens against them today whilst they're playing Burnley. But, it's not going to be an easy environment. But then again, if you're built for it, you will show yourself. You will step up in these type of games. And maybe some of these youngsters, they will take the opportunity. So we'll see what happens in that aspect. Roy uses the youth when he has to. He's done a lot with them when they finally do get a spot. Elegy says 3 minutes for Charters Player of the Year, by the way, not just any youngster. Yeah, he's very good last season. And for me, if he's not going out on loan, I need to see Raksaki play a bit more than 2 to 3 minutes coming off the bench, especially in a game like this. In a game like this where you can see it, the attack is a bit predictable. We need to freshen up, play a bit faster. And in this type of game, I would have liked to see Raksaki maybe not get, half an hour, 45 minutes, but at least 15 minutes, at least 15 to 20 minutes to change the game. I think in 2 to 3 minutes, you're not really expecting him to do much. And by the way, the Raksaki sub, I don't think would have happened if, Edouard wasn't out injured. It seemed like that was an injury sub. And hopefully he does take his opportunity, Raksaki. Is France are going to be fit for Man United? No, I don't think so. I'll be very surprised. He won't be fit. In fact, I can say 99.9% sure he's not going to be fit. Preston saying we need to shake up the lineup, so predictable now. But Preston, who do you shake up with the lineup? There's not that many options. There's one or two options we could talk about. I mean, Mateta for Schlupp, you can make that argument. That's been a discussion point over the last 2 weeks. But apart from that, maybe Raksaki. Who else could come in? Ahmed, like, do you get it? There's not that many options, and that's why you look at our recruitment over the summer. And this is my main problem when we sign Dean Henderson, not Dean Henderson himself, and hopefully he has a blind against Man United because I think he will get an opportunity. It's the fact that you spent £20 million on a backup goalkeeper when we needed attackers, and now where these injuries are racking up, you can see that the squad is thin. Could we have spent that money elsewhere and got a bit more out of it in comparison to spending on a goalkeeper? And I think these are healthy discussions to have. As much as I've rated Dougie, and I think he's done some fantastic business, there's a big question mark about that. Especially when we have Sam Johnson in goal. We didn't need to spend that kind of money on a goalkeeper in this window. Dan's saying that's what's most frustrating for me. You can't say one thing and do another. Unfortunately for us, we do have the oldest manager in the league and he doesn't care about developing youth players. Says Dan. Mitch saying, what are the odds that Roy just lets Paddy take the game? Surely not. I mean, if you're the manager, he has to be taking the game for me because I've rated Paddy a lot in terms of like tactical adjustments so far this season. I think he has played a key part to it, especially against Brentford, for example. Roy did mention it. But against Villa, we saw that he hasn't really got experience of becoming a first-team manager yet, in my opinion, for Crystal Palace. The subs were questionable. And I just didn't like it. And I feel like a more experienced manager would have tried to change the game a bit more. So I don't think Paddy should take the game against Man United. And it'll be confusing if he does because Roy is fit, is on the touchline, and I think he will take the game. Tim saying that feels harsh, Dan. I just think Roy trusts experience. Good point, Mitch. I could easily see Roy letting Paddy take the reins. Tim saying definitely D. It's good business that I would have felt a lot going for Ekitike. But we left it last minute, Tim, and that's the club's fault. We had 2 to 3 months, and this player came, the discussion started on transfer deadline day or a few days before it. It's not good enough. It's not good enough, really. Elegy says, Henderson may become a great keeper for us in years ahead, but I feel like a panic buy when Vicente Guaita left. I agree with this 100%. I think Dean Henderson could prove out to be a fantastic signing, but it's the timing of it. It's the timing when we need to strengthen other positions. When we're here talking about Edward being potentially out injured with a hamstring injury, and the only option that we have now, and thankfully he's had a very good start to the season coming off the bench, is Mateta. That's when things get worrying. What if Mateta, let's say, is injured? Who on earth plays up front for Palace? Are you? Jordan, are you? I mean, we're on our knees. We need players. That's what we were saying all summer. And now we're talking about, the lack of depth options. Bollocks saying Paddy and Ray just doesn't sound right. Yeah, I agree as well. I want it to be Roy on the touchline against United. That's saying maybe, but we invested a ton of money in youth academy. At some point, you need to put some faith in youngsters. But I just can't see it with Roy. He prefers experience, but he mixes in youth as well. Yeah, with the academy, I've said it as well. I think it'll take a few years for us to see the real gems of the academy. There's still players for the under-18s that'll take a few more years for them to develop in the first team. Under-18s or under-21 football is different to first team, and we've seen it when some of these under-21 players have played against professional teams. But yeah, I think the academy will come to light, and I think it'll be fantastic for us in about a few years' time. But even right now, I think there are one or two, I agree, Dan, there are one or two players that we could be using a bit more, especially when the squad is this thin. And maybe in January we get someone in. Yeah, but then again, Red, that's still a few months away. We still got a lot of games to play. I mean, we should have done it in summer. We were like, these are some of the positions that we're talking about all summer long. We're talking about last season. So why did we wait for January? Of course, you have to get the right player at the right price. But then again, it's on our recruitment to find those players. And we had enough time to try find an attacker or winger or striker. We did. And we just decided to leave it last minute. And we paid for it once again. It's not like we had a month of the window. We had a few months to strengthen in these positions. And we just didn't do it enough. And I think the reason for that is the goalkeeper, Dean Henderson, signing for £20 million. I think that cut quite a bit off our budget, and we could have spent that money elsewhere. But saying Mitchell looks so shattered, needed loose haul, but can't see our scout network find another left back. a left back, even on loan. Yeah, I think left back right now is probably not on the highest ranks in terms of priority for, I think, this recruitment team. But yeah, we do only have one left back. If Mitchell's out injured, then just going to be Jared Riedewald, who's not a left back, going to be playing there. We need left and right backs. 100% agree, Red. We do. Afghan approaching quickly too. Yeah, there's so many question marks right now with this Palace squad, and we have to. Right now, I said it. We're on survival mode. Not in terms of staying up in the Premier League, but we're on survival mode with this squad, and it's a case of just trying to take it game at time, a day at a time. Not even game at a day at a time without injuries, new injuries popping up. Because right now, we are in I think 1 or 2 injuries away, or even right now, you can have the debate right now. We are in an injury crisis up front. Not up front in terms of your striker, but in terms of forward line. We have Elise, Franca, Edouard, who's been fantastic for us so far this season, now potentially out injured as well. So it's a case of surviving for the next international break. That's when we might see Elise or Franca. But then again, we do have some massive games before that. Forest, massive game. Tuesday against United. Also, I know it's a Carabao Cup. I know that we could just skip past it, but I think it's a big game. I do. Everton, that's going to be a big game. If we don't have Edouard, Elise, or Franca, how are we going to do against them? They're drawing 1-0 against Brentford right now. We need to be beating, them ideally if we want to have, finish in the top 10 or even, aim for 7th. And that's what I'm saying. We just have to survive and take it day at a time, and hopefully these injuries and these players come back from injuries sooner rather than later. Because if they don't, and more players get injured, it might be instead of me being here, I might have to go up front for Palace because there's no one left. There's no one left, literally. Tim saying Klopp posted a feature on Fergie this morning. Great comments from Roy about his hope for him. Can't see Ferguson getting on the first team pitch this year, but would love it. 100% agree. I think it'll be massive for us. But then again, from when he was playing centre half for the academy. So I don't know if he'll be a right back option, and I don't really see him playing at right back ahead of Klein and Wardy. But hopefully I'm proven wrong. Preston saying, do you think we could have got someone like Ndombele on loan and given him a chance? I think wages probably played a part. I just don't think we wanted to overspend in terms of for a player like Ndombele because there's question marks about him in the Premier League. And I think he went to Galatasaray, and Galatasaray just clearly wanted to pay the price, and he went there. I think Ndombele is not the conversation. It's about Ekitike. Could we have, if we really wanted him, could we have done it a bit earlier? Why did we, leave it so late in a window on transfer deadline day to go bring in a striker that we've known that we've needed for a long time? Surely our recruitment team would have noticed him early on. So why did we not try it then? Preston also says, I already read that out. I thought it was a new comment. But yeah, so there are questions about the summer window. But look, people, I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you to every single one of you who's called. If you have enjoyed the stream, if you can leave a like and subscribe, let's keep the community growing. We'll be back on Tuesday as well. Maybe do a match preview. There's a lot of quick turnarounds now with the Carabao Cup game. But look, the point, it's not the worst result in the world, but I'd have loved for us to go get 3 points. Carabao Cup, bring it on. It's going to be a massive game. I'm excited to see some of the rotations, but we need to ideally try to win that game. It'll be fantastic for us to have a cup run. It's not going to be easy, but this is Palace. We've done it before, and we have to try to do it again. But until next time, up the Palace. Keep safe, people.